Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Santa Rita Union School District Board meeting. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Start off with roll call.
Ms. Cindy Lopez, Ms. Alvariano, Ms. Sarah Turner,
Present.
Mr. Jacob Sandoval,
Present.
Mr. Neil Patel is not present.
Okay, let's start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. Cindy, if you could lead us, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Okay, can I get a motion to approve the board agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion 4-0.
Okay, today on closed session items, we have item 2.1, potential litigation, the Government Code Section 54956.8 and 54956.9. We have item 2.2, public employee performance evaluation under Government Code Section 54957. And the third item we have is item 2.3, public employee appointments, employment evaluation and discipline dismissal under release leaves, Government Code Section 54957. Do we have any public comments regarding closed session items?
We do not.
Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn to closed session?
Motion.
Second.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion 4-0.
Okay, we'll see everybody afterwards. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back. We're going to reconvene back into open session for the Santa Rita District School Board meeting. Nothing was voted on in closed session. We're going to move on to item 5.1, which is approval of consent agenda for items 5.2 to 5.6. If I can please get a motion to approve.
Motion to,
Second.
All those in favor?
aye.
Motion 4-0.
Okay, we're going to move on to item 6.1. Is there any comments submitted by SRTA
We do not.
and CSEA for item 6.2?
None from them either.
Okay, we'll move on to Superintendent's Cap.
We're going to start with our Director of Engagement and School Climate, Dr. Summer Prather-Smith.
Still Rosas. Sorry. I just have a brief presentation for you just to give you a little bit of an overview of our listening circles and family forum that we had this week and some of the insights that came forward from those. So on Thursday, we had our middle school student listening circles in the morning. The students got here at 9 and those went till 1:30. And then that evening, we had our family forum for our middle school parents. Then on Friday, we repeated that with our elementary students. So part of what we heard from our students, and I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, everybody can see it, but part of what we heard from our students is that they want, there is a strong teacher-student connection and they want more of that as well. Students know exactly who the adults are on their campuses that they can go to when they need support. They ask for friendship building. They enjoy the opportunity to come together and develop relationships with one another. And they talked about a safe environment where students can feel comfortable and welcomed in each of our schools. What our middle school students told us, they're very honest, so that's great. They told us that they appreciated when teachers took time to do personal check-ins on them and notice if something seemed off. They wanted more social activities like game days and clubs that they could be part of. They reported that there are adults on their campuses that they trust and that they can go to if they need support. And they said that they like having different opportunities and different ways to learn and with different materials. What they want more of, they want more voice in what happens on our campuses and want to be part of those plans. They asked for better bullying prevention, and specifically they asked for representation of anti-bullying around our campuses, so posters and signs, they talked about places to put the anonymous reporting and ideas they had for that. Easier ways to get help, to ask for academic support. They said that it can be embarrassing to say you need help, so they wanted ways that they could access that help without drawing attention to themselves. They wanted different ways of learning. They wanted to be able to have choices around working in small groups or with a partner or on their own in different spaces throughout the room as well. They talked about kind of flexible seating options for them. They wanted fun sports options, so options for sports that weren't competitive, but where they could learn the skill of the game to be able to participate at a competitive level at some point. And they talked a lot of concerns about the boys' bathroom specifically, really some concerns from the boys around not having stalls and what it means to use a stall. And so lots of conversations around the boys' bathroom. What our parents said they loved about our middle schools is that we have caring teachers. Parents really drew attention to the fact that they feel like teachers care about them and school staff care about their student as well. They talked about having clear communication, that they receive lots of messaging and updates and that there's multiple ways for that to happen. So they talked about our social media, Parent Square, email. They felt that our schools were safe. Physically safe as well for our students. They talked about really having an appreciation for the camera systems that we have in place and those upgrades that have occurred. They praised our social events, specifically dances and movie nights and field trips that our students have been able to go on. What they asked for, safer bathrooms for the boys. It's really the boys. And it was, again, a really specific ask that we can talk about more. Better break spaces. They talked about wanting students to have the opportunity to go to a quiet space and maybe work on homework or do some reading, maybe go to some place where they could do art or outside where they can do an activity, but providing different options for students who maybe don't want to be outside during those bigger periods of time. They asked for faster communication. They just said that sometimes it takes a while for information to get back. And so that they would like a way of, especially when something seems more urgent, having quicker communication. They also talked about diverse learning areas for students and lots of conversations around opportunities for students to learn, outside of the regular classroom as well. And then student support, they emphasize the need for social emotional support and conflict resolution at the middle school level. What our elementary students voiced is they want inspiring spaces where students are encouraging, where there's like encouraging messaging. They talked a lot about some of them who've gotten the murals and appreciating those murals that are there. Interactive, getting to work hands-on and work in groups and in partners. You'll see that some of this repeats, and I'll bring it to the bottom. It's because it's different groups sharing similar ideas. They talked a lot about wanting to make community connections, and they talked a lot about having adults support them in facilitating building friendships and ways that that could happen. And they wanted their teachers to provide kind of consistent encouragement and positive praise for both what they do and the efforts they make. And they really said that they want a school that's more than just about the classroom, where there's opportunities to engage in meaningful ways outside of that space as well. What they want to see more of, they want to see more fun learning games. They talked about, they had some really great ideas. One of the questions for them was about like if they could create a lesson plan, what would it look like? And they had some really great ideas about making learning more fun for them in the classroom through opportunities. They want opportunities to work on creative projects that express their creativity, especially through the arts. They also want additional sports activities that's non-competitive where they can learn the sports as well after school and during the school day. There was a lot of talk about sometimes after school activities are hard for them to access because of different factors in their families. They wanted friendship building activities, and several students reiterated, like, we need adults to help us connect with one another because that can be really hard for us as well. Just a couple of little pieces that they said that matter to them. So one of the students talked about when my teacher gave me a high five after I finally solved a tough math problem, it really felt good. That was from one of our 7th grade students. We want our voices heard. It means everything when teachers make time to listen to us. Some of us are shy in class, but we still have lots to say. We appreciate when teachers notice us, even when we aren't the loud ones. And then what our elementary families told us, so they talked about a safe and nurturing environment. They feel that their little ones feel safe and loved at school. Teachers make learning fun, so they reported that their students come back and report that learning's fun for them and that they do fun activities within their classroom that help them learn. They love being involved in the classroom and the school on a larger level. Continue to share. I'm like, I didn't fit it all on one slide. I had it squished on there at first. So they need flexible ways to be able to participate. A couple of the families talked about like weekend opportunities as well, specifically when we were talking about conferences, because they were saying sometimes for conferences, some families can't attend. Are weekends an option? They want safety to be prioritized. They really talked about drop off and pickup in the intersections, specifically La Jolla, JG, and McKinnon are of big concern to families right now. They want them to have different approaches to teaching and learning, and then a balanced use of technology and traditional tools. There was lots of conversations around the new regulations for handwriting and really wanting kiddos to get pencil to paper and not always be on a device. They want to help. They want to pitch in and help in leadership ways, not just when there's kind of an event. They talked about really wanting the opportunity to be part of what learning happens in the classrooms, but providing various opportunities for parents whose schedules are different. They want to be asked to participate and not kind of just wait to have to reach out. They want to come together as parents. We heard a lot from our parents kind of saying we want to connect with other parents so that we can kind of know what our students are doing and know who their friends are and what's happening. Similar to the students, they kind of said, and if you could help us facilitate that, that's great. They want to make sure that all families feel welcome and that cultures are really represented throughout our campuses, that, a school should feel like home to whoever's coming into that space, and really feeding our families in that way, not physically feeding them, but feeding their participation. and that they want regular ongoing communication with teachers and not just waiting till conference periods or till there's a big problem, that they want kind of these regular updates. They talked a lot about communication is really good about things that are happening in general, but they want more kind of messages about how their students doing ongoing. They acknowledge that, yes, we have tools like Parent Square where they can check grades and see that, but that sometimes it's great to just kind of hear a call that says how students are doing good or bad, or with positives or challenges. And these are just kind of some of the areas that were shared across the board. So safe spaces to learn came up across the board, both that we're doing a good job of it and that they want to make sure that that continues to be a priority for students. Building meaningful connections, like I shared, between parents as well as between students themselves. Active engagement, opportunities for lots of different ways of learning, diverse learning, so approaches to learning, giving students the opportunity, which came up repeatedly again, learning together one-on-one if they choose to do so, and then really reiterating that ability to access supports and help. A balanced approach. Yes, we know technology is necessary and it's the future and we want students to be able to use it, but they also want that opportunity for traditional learning approaches. And then inclusive environment where everybody knows that they're welcomed and it's visible that that's a welcome space for them as well. I think that's the last one, is it? Yes. Is that the last one? Yeah. Okay, perfect. So that's the short version. I have a full summary as well, but you don't need that part right now.
So I guess question would be, I know there was a nonprofit organization that was involved. So what are like next steps from here? And then I guess I'll comment some of the other stuff.
Yeah. So the West Ed that was here, we actually funded with the $200,000 as part of that $200,000 grant that we received. So we'll continue to work with them. This is just one of several projects that we've been working with them on. They've been doing a series of training called Cultivating Compassionate Classrooms that staff have been attending. They'll be back again in March for another set. So then what we do is we use all of this information and then we plan what we'll do for next year to continue that work. The goal is that we eventually take on pieces of this ourselves. So sites are doing similar circles within their sites. And then again, once a year, we're bringing in an outside entity that helps facilitate a district-wide project.
Okay. So you mentioned the sites are doing like a mini version of.
Yeah, so that would be the goal. This is our first time that we've
Okay.
done it with elementary school. We only did middle school last year. So this year we expanded to elementary. So now everybody's had the opportunity. So next year it would be sites doing small ones and then those kiddos still coming to the district for district-wide.
I have some more, but does anybody else from the board have questions or comments on it? No, it was, I mean, I wish I would have been able to attend the other ones just because I'm busy schedule sometimes,
Yeah.
but it was really good to listen.
Yeah.
To hear their perspectives. I know for the one I attended, there wasn't representation, I think, from Santa Rita, which is
Rita.
always a challenge, right?
It is.
To show up.
And yeah, we had confirmed just beforehand, but the parent was ill and didn't show. We kind of put it out a vast net. It's also just it's an intimidating situation.
Of course, yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
to come forward. So Blanca was able to collect we met with the parents, I was not included in that. The liaisons met with the parents ahead of time and went through the questions so that they were aware. So Blanca was able to collect that information even though the parent wasn't able to be here. So she was able to collect her responses, which was
Okay.
nice. So that was included in my presentation.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rosa, did you have anything? Okay.
Good evening. Good evening. So I just want to report back that I attended to the budget workshop yesterday in Sacramento. So this is pretty much the preliminary view for what's going to happen on next year, 25-26. It's not a done deal. Remember, we have another May revise in May, and then the final adoption of the state budget in July. So everything that I'm going to mention right now is just assumptions. It's, like I said, it's not a done deal, but something that to keep in mind when we're doing projections for next year. So some of the things that they talk about was four main items that I want to talk or I want to share. I'll probably share the positive ones first. So the first one, they talk about more learning recovery funds, which is a one-time funding. We currently have that funding available, which was going to last until next year, 25, 26. So if they decide to give us more money, it would be having that funding for a longer period of time. That's where we're paying most of our mental health services, like counselor, or probation officer and things like that. And all of the other one-time expenses. Also, they talk about more of the PD grant. Again, one-time funding. We currently have our PD grant, which is scheduled to or projected to end it by this year. So if they provide us additional funding for next year, it would be nice because that way we can continue some of the services that we are providing right now, like PD for our teachers, most likely. And then the bad news is that due to the fires that are going on in LA, the state had to reallocate some funding to help out those schools on that side of the state. And there is a delayed again, or they're providing an extension for residents and corporations to file their taxes. When they did that last time, there was a problem with cash flow. They haven't talked about cash deferrals yet, but something to keep in mind since this is very, very new. And then the other bad news is that they propose or they're thinking about making a reduction not only in our ongoing funding, which is our LCFF, not only on the next year, 25, 26, but what was very shocking to me is they were also proposing to do a cut in our current year, which is 24, 25, which it's usually not good because we are already projecting, or a budget projection is really hard when you're already thinking you're going to have the money, and then a year end when you're closing the books, they come and tell you you're not going to get the money. Again, these are proposals. There's nothing being signed. We are waiting for more information, and as soon as we get more, I'm going to be able to share that with you. It just feels like right now we need more financial stability from the state. And I wish they could give us more ongoing and maybe less of the one time, because the ongoing money that we have, like our LCFF, that's where we pay about 80% of our salaries and benefits. That's what we need. But the way that they're shifting the funding, and it creates a lot of instability, financial instability for our projections, and it's kind of frustrating. So I just want to share that with you. That's all I have. Thank you.
No, thank you for attending and keeping us up to date.
Oh, one more thing. If you're interested in attending, there's another workshop that's going to be happening here in Monterey County on February 3rd. It's a Monday and it's in the morning. If you're interested, let me know and I can send you the link so you can sign up for, or I can sign you up. And it's free for whoever wants to attend.
Okay, can you give it to Amy, and that way
Yeah,
she'll,
sure.
just in case to remind us later.
I'll send the information. Mhm.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? No? Okay, thank you.
Our Assistant Superintendent of Ed Services, Becky Moore.
Thank you. As we've come back to our new semester, we've been doing a lot of review of our mid-year data with our iReady Diagnostic 2 complete, with the dashboard being released. And so we did that with our curriculum council last week. We did that in a principals meeting with iReady, and school sites are also doing that work as well. Additionally, we have received updates from our teacher induction program. CTI Riverside is who we work with for teacher induction, that they are now moving on a timeline to introduce the new California standards for the teaching profession that were adopted in 2024. So they've been revised fairly significantly. I have for you a summary that CTI put out of the changes, which is a really nice just cheat sheet to see how things have been updated. But something that excites me and that I think will make the transition earlier, or not earlier, easier for our teachers, is that we've been doing a lot of the work that leads into these revisions. So these are updating, or sorry, I have not been able to talk all week. These are emphasizing culturally responsive teaching, honoring student identities, social emotional learning, which has been something that we've provided professional development on in this district, as well as restorative practices. I know when I looked at the actual standards, trauma-informed practices are mentioned. And so I'm excited about the changes. I think they really are responsive to the work that we are doing and that I know a lot of districts in California are doing to make sure that our students can be engaged in a school community that respects and honors them as individuals and helps them to really develop themselves as individuals.
For those of us that are not teachers,
Mhm.
who put out this again?
So this summary comes from our teacher induction program. However, the California standards for the teaching profession are adopted by the State Board of Education. And they are really what are supposed to outline and frame a teacher's work within the state of California.
Okay. Teachers work once they started at a district and working in the,
Yes, so that's what their teaching programs, the teaching credentialing programs are based upon these. Their teacher induction, the majority of districts base evaluations on the CSTPs because they really are the standards for what we would expect teachers to do.
okay, got it. So essentially, once we're working with our teachers and you're figuring out what goals and expectations there is, this kind of falls in line with it.
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
Any other questions or comments from the board? No. Okay. Moving on to the board and the superintendent, Ms. Cindy Lopez.
I don't have anything to report back.
Okay.
Is there anything?
Ms. Alvariano.
Yeah, on January 13th last week, I attended the curriculum council with Becky and the technology, her name is Krisha. So she gave a presentation on what, I guess it's an app for Gemini for the AI. Right. And so I thought that was pretty interesting because AI is pretty interesting to me anyway. I still don't fully understand it, but she gave a very good presentation and also it's free. So that's one of the main reasons to try and go that route and then maybe see another app some other time. But anyway, it was really, really interesting. And then also Becky gave us data on iReady. She just said something about that. And I was excited because although the teachers that were in attendance didn't seem like it was a big deal. I mean, they were happy, but I think they I'm anxious to see the end result at the end of the year. But there were a lot of good progress with iReady. As a matter of fact, tomorrow I will be joining Santa Rita and Donna for looking at it. They're there for all day tomorrow. But anyway, and in the scope and sequence, we also visited the scope and sequence. I was on Analia and Kate Stover's little group, and Becky asked if they could write what the celebrations were. And so I was with Analia and Kate, and I told them to leave it up here so you guys could see what they're doing. JV, this is La Jolla, and this one is New Republic and McKinnon. So they worked on what the celebrations were for the iReady.
Okay.
So, and I mean, they were pretty focused on what our next steps are. So anyways, and then just a reminder, Becky was supposed to give us a flyer. Not
No.
Becky.
If
Summer.
you had the flyer for the February 12th.
Oh, I'll pass it on.
Okay.
There, and it's also on our Facebook, but I'll pass it.
Oh, it's on the Facebook?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, we can email it. Yeah.
Yeah. Give it to me tomorrow on Facebook or whatever. Yeah. Okay, and the flyer was for what?
It's for the, at Alice High School, February 12th, are gonna be knowing, posting and know your rights.
That's what it was. I do want to go. I do
Yeah,
want to
we're
attend.
trying to work together with the collaboratives that I'm working with, as well as the city of Salinas, to make sure that we're working together, because there's only a few agencies who are able to do the work. And if, everybody's trying to book them for their individual needs, it's going to overwhelm the agencies.
Right.
So luckily, I'm part of the
That's a good point.
public information officer group, but for all of the surrounding school districts. And so we've been kind of working together to see, who's hosting what and where is it going, so that we can maximize
Right.
the impact of those events. So I'll be sharing those out as they come forward.
Okay, good. Yeah, I would like to attend that. It's going to be in the evening?
Yes, in the evening at Alice High School.
Okay. I wrote it down, so. And that's it for me.
Okay, well, thank you, Alba, and thank you for having them leave it up. It's pretty cool to see that as well. Miss Sarah Turner?
Thank you. I don't have anything to report.
Okay, for myself, I just attended the parent circles on Friday evening. I was only able to attend half of it, but it was good to hear from the parents and their perspectives and the positive and the negative. So it's really good that we're taking that steps and figure out how to continue that for the future and stuff. So, Dr. Alderman.
Thank you. Wanted to let the trustees know that the Monterey County Office of Education, we are partnering a lot of the neighboring districts as well, signing on to a letter in support of Senate Bill 48 presented by Senator Gonzalez, Immigration Enforcement, School Sites, Prohibitions on Access, Sharing Information, and Law Enforcement Collaboration. And so MCOE reached out to districts and asked if superintendents would sign on, add our logo to the letter, and so that we can send that to our local representatives as well, who this will be coming to a vote for them in the Senate. I understand that there's also a version of this as an assembly bill as well, and the likelihood being, if that passes there, that the two of them could be combined and create a piece of legislation protecting our students regardless of immigration status in California.
Okay, thank you for the update. Any questions or comments on the board? No? Okay. Go ahead.
I was just going to clarify so that the public knows that we don't collect that information. So we couldn't give it to people because we don't have it.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. Is there any public comments regarding non-agenda items or agenda items?
There's no public comment.
Okay. Okay, we're going to move on to discussion regarding nominations for the 2025 Excellence Award.
I printed these out in case you needed a quick view. And so we are looking for your top 3 choices that we can let the Monterey County School Board Association know is your recommended nominees.
Okay, the one that I would hopefully like is the Centro Binacional. And then I'm not sure if anybody else has another one to put in there. And then where you guys were looking, because I highlighted 3 that I was, the Restorative Justice Partners and Christine Marie's Star Writers were the 3 that I identified, but if there's other ones that you guys had seen.
The Monterey County Rape Crisis Center was one that yeah. Also the Centro Binacional. And then the Bob Hoover Academy was also one that caught my eye.
Okay, Alva and Sarah, were there any ones that you kind of?
Was there one for trafficking?
Yeah, I believe there was one. It was yeah, it was
That's one I would.
The Monterey County Rape Crisis Center, or was there
Is that
another
it?
one?
The Monterey County.
Human Trafficking Task Force.
Mm.
Yeah. And so I know there are different columns. Do we pick one and then the top three, or how is it that we're? It might
You'll rank them for us as the board for the board's first choice, second choice, and third choice, and then we'll send it over.
Okay.
Okay. So it seems like
Actually, usually the way that it works, whoever our representative is at the meeting on Monday, that person gets to vote. Like they don't take votes if people are not there, kind of thing. So that person just takes under, whoever representative takes under advisement, like what we said, and then they vote.
I mean
So
that they're meeting for.
yeah.
Yeah, this is for each local school district to rank so that they can narrow down the options who will go up for a vote.
So
okay.
at their meeting on Monday, they're going to ask people who are present on Zoom to bring forward the names that their organization.
The
that
top three or
their-
this one?
A lot of times just one kind of thing, just because if one person puts forward two or three and there's 30 people there, then you'd have everything back on the list.
Sure, that's
So my only, I think everybody that I brought forward are good ideas. My only personal thing is I don't like that they send out information about groups that have been honored before. Like that's weird to me in terms of I would prefer that they did not do that. Not that those groups aren't amazing, but what they've already received the sword.
Okay. Is that the one that I took over for you that seat? Or is that something different? The one that shows up Monday?
Yeah, it's the meeting on
I'll put that
Monday.
on my calendar.
Yeah, thank you.
So then it's top three, but essentially we
Yeah.
won that day. Okay.
And it's fine to give that you, or if I was going to attend as well, for you guys to have three in your mind, because as people put forward names, sometimes you'll start to see a pattern and you might think like,
Rather help this group.
okay, yeah, like 5 other people are interested in this group. That was a group that we were interested to versus didn't come up on our list at all.
Oh, okay, makes sense. Okay, so Centro Visional, and then there was the other ones that you mentioned?
Monterey.
The Monterey Bay Rape Crisis Center, just and for people that are unaware, they do an incredible job doing abuse prevention in the schools, making it really appropriate, really giving children good tools without being frightening for them. And that is actually abuse prevention is mandated by the state, and this is a nonprofit that comes in and helps you to do that with your students.
Elva's the alternate for that, for this?
Yes.
Okay, are you attending Monday?
Yes.
Okay, great, because I'm pretty packed Monday, so if you can make
Yeah.
it, and then we'll trust your judgment.
Yes.
With options, yeah. Thank you, Elva.
Okay.
Okay, so those are the ones you mentioned, you kind of got feedback, and they kind of depend on what you feel that day.
Right.
That's what was in this. Okay, perfect. Okay. So we're gonna move on to 8.2, since that was only a discussion. Information regarding Proposition 39 bond financials and performance audit report for the 23-24.
That's my item, and it's there for you to review. There was no audit findings on the bond audit report. We also have Alex on the line. Let's see if he can connect so he can talk about both of the audit reports, and as is coming up as one of the action items as well.
Hey, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, perfect.
Rosa, is he going to talk about this one?
Yes, he's going to talk about the procedures and the steps he takes to do the bond audit, because there's no audit findings, so there's really nothing for me to review. And then he's going to talk about our regular district audit report as well.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, so for this is primarily just for the bond money, the building fund primarily. Essentially what we do is we take a sample of expenditures within the bond fund, and we essentially make sure they're in compliance with the bond. So making sure they're an approved bond project and they follow all the bid policies and everything like that of the district. Also a component of it is, of course, it's also a financial audit too. So then we do it's pretty much kind of overlaps with the regular audit, because we have to look at the bond fund in general. But the usual typical procedures for the financial audit, like looking at making sure cash is the right amount and making sure like payables is correct, et cetera, et cetera. Um, other than that, it's pretty much these reports are they're meant for mainly the oversight committee. These don't go to the state at all. These are pretty much primarily for internally for pretty much the Citizens Oversight Committee. So, any questions regarding the two reports and this Prop 39 in general?
Any questions from the board? No questions.
Okay.
Okay, so that was 8.2. It's more of an informational item. So I kind of read through it. I didn't have any questions myself either. 9.1 is approval of the financial audit for the 23-24.
Is Alex, are you still there?
Yep.
At the-
Okay.
Okay, so this is the district audit report. And just going back to the bond audit, I am taking the audit report for the bond audit on the February meeting for our bond committee. Just as informational as well for them to review the projects. And yeah, go ahead, Alex.
Okay, so on the main audit, we gave the district an unmodified clean opinion. However, there were about two findings, and one of them is pretty much a significant one. It's the ELO program. It's one of these new compliance steps for the 23-24 year. The state required each school district to have pretty much these expanded learning programs, and the district didn't have one operational until June. And with that, it came penalties. If you look at the finding, it's about 4.4 million. But essentially, that is the amount that the state gave you to specifically run the program. Since the program wasn't ran, that is based on the number of days and stuff like that. That's the amount that's going to be essentially the state will take back essentially. The other finding had to do with teacher assignments. That one just is more of a compliance finding, but it's just when I looked at the credentials for two teachers, I couldn't find the EL compliance for them. Other than that, everything was pretty much status quo, pretty much looking through everything. Rosa, Debbie, and her staff, fantastic work with us as always. Made my life pretty easy. Yeah. And any questions regarding the regular district's audit or anything with the compliance for this year?
Not so much for you, but essentially, since we didn't have the program, we just gave the money back that wasn't spent, essentially. That's kind of
Yeah,
how it is.
exactly.
Okay. Yeah. Any questions from the board?
With the two teachers with the credentialing, was it that we didn't have it submitted, or was it that they weren't credentialed at
They
all?
sorry, credentials is probably the wrong word to use, but it's they have to have kind of a English learner add-on essentially to the credential.
Oh,
And then you either have to have it or you don't teach a class larger than 20% of English learners in the classroom. And that's in pretty much I would say all the classrooms are above 20%. So pretty much everyone probably needs the EL section for it.
Hi, Alex. This is Becky.
Hi.
So for the English learner authorization, I know I also talked to Claudia about this. One of them did have it, but it was not filed with the CTC. It was the previous, and some of you teachers are familiar with that SB 1969 when it was first introduced. So that has been resolved. The other one needed the English learner authorization, and somehow that was an emergency EL authorization while they work on their credentialing. And so that was missed upon their hiring. So that's been resolved as well.
okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? No?
No, just appreciation for all good work and thank you for the work on the audit as well.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve?
I motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion 4-0.
Okay, and these get published on our website, right? Yeah. Okay. Okay, item 9.2, approval of the budget revisions for 2025.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
So that's my item as well. And as I promised, anything that it's going to create an additional deficit spending to our budget or an impact to our budget, as are we also looking into revenue reductions and reduction in our expenses due to our deficit spending. I did mention that I was going to bring back the budget, and this is usually like I said, I don't do this. This is not like the normal state budget that I take to the state, which is like 200 pages. So what I did for you is an overview of the budget. I do have a spreadsheet that I left on your seat so you can view with me. And it's pretty much looking at the current year, 2 years out, since these are one-time expenditures are only affecting our current year, 24, 25, and it's not adding any deficit to the next 2 years in the future, but it does add to our deficit spending going from a 6.6 to a 7.1 overall. Again, these are one-time expenditures. One of them includes an administrative fee from MIG-SIG Insurance. As you know, they are having trouble with their cash and they are deficit spending, and the decision was made where they took all the total amount that they're deficit spending and distributed that into all the districts. So it's not only Santa Rita, it's all the districts in Monterey County. I mean, there's districts that are paying over $1 million, just depending on the number of employees that they have enrolled and how much they are paying. So that was our portion for us. That was our percentage. And like I said, I do have another spreadsheet because part of that fee that we're paying, it is going to impact the money that we had in our ending fund balance, unrestricted. It's going to get paid from it. We're going to pay from the money that we set aside for increases on operating expenditures, which is pretty much any expenditures that we didn't budget before and that we didn't know it was going to happen. And that's pretty much why we set up that money there. And that's where we're taking it from. And then also part of it, a small portion from the LCAP from prior years, which is not part of your LCAP plan because that is not required to be on the LCAP. But since we are paying benefits for those employees that are getting paid out of the LCAP, we thought it's better to pay it from restricted, so that way we have more flexibility on the unrestricted. And then a portion from cafeteria fund and restricted funds as well. And that's pretty much what I have here. Also, two one-time expenses, one for $97,000 for the safety gates at the school sites, which I'm pretty sure Victor talked about. And then another one-time expense, and that $97,000 is coming out of our restricted fund that we have set aside for maintenance of our buildings and schools. And then the other $70,000 is for the damage and the repair for the main water line at La Jolla. As you know, there's a broken pipe in there, and that includes the fee for the removal of the tree, fixing the damage, and also estimated cost for repairs on concrete and things like that. And again, that expense is also covered out of the restricted funds for the maintenance of our buildings.
Okay, thank
Do
you.
have any
Uh,
questions?
Any questions on the board?
Just, do we have a date for the removal of the tree?
That would be a question for Victor. I know he was working on it. I don't know if Melissa.
Sorry.
I know they've worked on the pipes. Do we have a date for the removal of the tree?
The removal of the tree, we don't have a date on that yet. Our priority over the weekend was getting
Absolutely.
the pipe all set. And then, so I'll let you know, because we'll also be sending out a message to our La Jolla community, letting them know that the tree will come down.
Okay, thank you. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
A second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion 4-0.
Okay, thank you, Rosa. Moving on to 9.3, approval of position control maintenance closure of positions.
Thank you. Human Resources and Business work closely together on position control and have brought similar items to you previously. These again are some positions that have been on the books. They are been vacant and not funded, and so there's no impact on the budget, no cost savings or other impact. It's just a matter of keeping the books clean.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion 4-0.
Okay, our next regular board meeting will be February 12th, 2025. And then any suggested future board items from the board? No? Okay. It is 6:47. Can I please get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
And a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion 4-0.
Okay, have a nice evening, everyone.